Hi, my name is John Bogdasarian with the Promanas Group. Thanks for tuning into this brief video about PF2 LLC. I hope this will answer some of the questions you may have as you read through the packet on PF2. One of the first things I like to explain to our potential investors is that we are not geographically driven, we are not asset driven, we are situationally driven. And what I mean by that is that we don't buy properties based on a certain region that they're in, and we don't buy a certain asset class, for instance, like only industrial or only medical office or only multifamily. What we look for is we look for certain situations that exist. The types of situations that we look for are situations where someone may owe more money on a property than it's worth, and we can do what we call a cram down or a short sale to the bank and pick up the property for a good price. We also look for situations where potentially the landlord and the tenant aren't able to come to an agreement on a new lease term, and so therefore the landlord has to sell the property at a little bit of a discount, and prior to closing we come in and negotiate a new lease as the good guy with the tenant, and therefore end up with a longer term lease and better value established in the property. Other situations include sale leasebacks. We've also bought properties that are owned by 6 or 7 partners, some of which wanted to sell, some of them didn't. We were able to get a good price and allow some of those partners to participate back into our fund and buy shares in our fund. In addition to that, we've also come across situations where a property owner may own one large asset and all his risk is concentrated in that one property. And so he'll sell to us and then he'll buy shares in PF2 and thereby be diversified across all the assets, which we'll get to here in a second. After we've decided on a piece of real estate that we want to purchase, we conduct extensive due diligence. This involves getting a survey of the property, an environmental report, a property condition report. Of course, we have an appraisal of the property, which is ordered by the bank or the lender we choose to use to finance the acquisition. In addition to that, we do due diligence on the market in the area that we're going into. What are the market lease rates? Are we in line or below those lease rates? Are we buying the property below replacement value? We want to look for what we believe to be a very safe and secure piece of real estate that we're buying. We also look at the tenant and we try and buy properties that are occupied by tenants that we think are going to be in business for a long period of time. Tenant turnover is extremely expensive in real estate. After we've conducted the due diligence on the property and we've decided that this is a property that we would like to add to the portfolio, we send it out to the existing members of PF2 LLC, and it takes a majority vote of the existing members to add a property to the portfolio or to sell a property when it comes time to sell properties. After we've received that vote from the members and we have the approval to add the asset, we create what's called the offering memorandum and the prospectus that we send out. That's what you're going to look at on this page here if you download it. That's the initial prospectus. In addition to that, there's a private placement memorandum that we create as well. You'll want to review that thoroughly before you make an investment to make sure that this is right for you and for your portfolio. Once we've put the prospectus out and we've sold all the shares needed to fund the acquisition, we then set up the closing and get the financing arranged in order to purchase the property. After that, my company, Promanas Group, manages the asset and we manage the LLC, PF2, and we collect all the income that comes off the property, we pay all the expenses, and then we do what I think is our favorite part. We distribute out the free cash flow to the members pro rata on a monthly basis. What I mean by pro rata is this is what we call a pari passu basis. Pari passu is Latin and it means on equal footing. So if you purchase ownership in PF2 LLC, it's important to understand that you're not just buying into that one particular asset that we're acquiring at that time. You're purchasing into the entire portfolio. Right now, we're on our 5th acquisition in PF2, so if you buy in at this point in time, you're also going to be diversified across the 4 assets we own as well. This gives you some diversification, it allows us to pool our reserve accounts, and it creates efficiency in our operating, which drops more money to the bottom line for the investors. Again, I'm one of the largest investors in PF2, so it's important to me that my interests are aligned with my investors, but it's also important to me that we're dropping as much cash flow as we can to the bottom line and we can distribute as much as possible out to the members. Our distributions are made on a monthly basis, and if you happen to have 10% of all the capital in PF2, if you invested 10% of the money and you have 10% of the equity, then you would receive 10% of all the distributions we make, 10% of the profits from the sale of the asset, and 10% of any losses if there were any losses in the business as well. Our overall philosophy on PF2 is to do the work once and get paid forever. Now, we have to continually work to manage these properties and deal with changes, but to the investor, this is supposed to be a passive activity. You put your money in, you get checks, you get monthly cash flow, and ideally, if everything goes as projected, that cash flow never dies, never goes away, and your principal continues to grow over time as well. That's the goal of PF2. We have to disclose that anyone investing in PF2 must meet the accredited investor criteria. It's defined in the packet that you can download from our website. If you ever have any questions, you can call me directly or send me an email. We operate with 100% transparency to our members. I hope you found this information useful. Thanks a lot and have a great day.